Yeah, I'm well. I've been better, but I'm well. I've been able to sleep and digest the performances for my both teams yesterday.
Well,
But yeah, it's all
well,
right. It's all good.
someone would say it's a double dose of, I don't know how to put it. I mean, Ivory Coast, who were taken into the cleaners by Equatorial Guinea, I mean, losing by 4 goals to 0. And then later, you had to witness that 2-0 draw against Mozambique. I mean, Ghana taking on Mozambique. Can you just sum up? Let's start off with the Black Stars' performance against Mozambique. Um, Quick thoughts on what you witnessed last night.
Yeah, bro. Like you mentioned, it's a double dose of pain and suffering. As a Ghanaian living in Cote d'Ivoire, yesterday was very difficult, being at the stadium and witnessing both performances. If we start off with the Ghana Black Stars, no one would have thought that so late in the game with a 2-0 lead, we would concede. It's funny though, because the Ivorian crowd that did end up staying to watch the Ghana game at first were really behind the Black Stars. At 2-0, they were there chanting for the players, pushing them on. And then at 2-1, they basically realized that if Ghana drew or even lost, they had a better chance of making it to the next round. So they switched camp and were supporting the Mozambique team. And when Mozambique when Mozambique scored the goal, they were really happy. Scenes of joy, which was disheartening, to be honest. But it is what it is.
Well, John, I don't know what you make about the substitutions we saw from Houghton. I mean, you take a 2-goal lead. Even before he introduced Andre Ayew, the decision to introduce Andre Ayew in that bit, it was just a lot of minutes to take care of. And would you say that some way, somehow led to the team's late collapse against Mozambique?
My understanding is that Chris saw that in the second part of the first half, there was a drop off. I mean, that was clear to see from those of us who were in the stands. The Black Stars started really well with a lot of energy, pressing, but then there was a little bit of a drop off, and I assume that that's why he took off Joseph Painstill. I was surprised though, because at halftime we could see Andre Ayew warming up, but we didn't think that he would come in until later on in the game. And I'm not sure what exactly happened, but early on in the week, we were talking about ensuring that the Black Stars team were concentrated for the whole 90 minutes or 90 minutes plus stoppage time. And they were certainly not concentrated for the duration of the 90 minutes plus the stoppage time. It's unfortunate that such errors keep happening, and they happen in all three games. So I think at the end of the day, we also deserve the fate that we have. Although there's a really, really slim chance of us making it to the next round, we end up just deserving what we getting what we deserve. Sorry, I'm a bit emotional about this whole thing, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And so, but finally, before we leave on the bits of the Black Stars, I mean, the question everybody is asking is what next for this current crop of players, and what next for Coach Chris Hughton himself? People are saying that after taking full responsibility for the team's late collapse against Mozambique, the next thing he needs to do, or the next things he needs to consider or to tell us, is to say that he will not continue in his role again.
I mean, that is we definitely need some in-house cleaning, and I think that it's not only on the coaching part; it also needs to happen at the federation level. The big wigs at the GFA really need to sit down and see what's going on, because over the last in the recent past, let's say, Ghana has underperformed, and we can't say that it's only because of the players. We have a crop of talented players that are playing in some of the biggest clubs in Europe, and it takes a talented and a good player to be able to perform and to start in some of these clubs that they're starting in. So we can't lay all the blame on the players. We also need to look at the backroom staff. We also need to look at the coaches. We also need to look at the federation level. Are they really doing all that they can to create an atmosphere, an environment that is conducive to performance? I doubt that. So it's back to the drawing board for the GFA and the Black Stars team, and we're really going to push, and we're going to support them. We'll keep supporting them, but I'm not very confident for the future. Something radical needs to happen so that in the next 2 years, and then also in the next 4 years, in Morocco, and then in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, something needs to change to ensure Black Stars don't continue disappointing us on the international scene, and letting down some of the players that really work hard to do their best to perform for the Black Stars team.
Wow. Well, you mentioned disappointment, and that takes me to the host nation, Ivory Coast, who are just about seeing history repeat itself. The last time they hosted the tournament, 1984, they exited in the group stage, and that's looking like manifesting again. I mean, your thoughts on that 4-0 hammering at the hands of Equatorial Guinea?
Well, I would say there are two things, two words or two concepts that come in mind. The first one is wasteful, and the second one is out of sync. If you think about wasteful, they had 22 shots versus Equatorial Guinea's 10 shots. They had an expected goal of 2.4 versus Equatorial Guinea's 1.31. And they only had 3 shots on target and 0 goals. Equatorial Guinea was really realistic, and they took their chances when they did have it. And it's a real shame to see a team that everyone was behind, and the stadium was as full as it could have been, given the recent issues that they have with the ticketing, and everyone was really pushing and supporting the team. But from the beginning, it seemed like it wasn't Cote d'Ivoire's day. From the opportunities that were there, the shots, which are off target, opportunities that were wasted, they were really wasteful yesterday. And then in terms of being out of sync, it was most illustrated with the scuffle, I would say, not to say a fight, between Franck Kessié and Fofana.
Yeah.
During the cooling break. They basically were almost fighting. It seemed like Fofana was remonstrating, wanted Franck Kessié to play more forward passes, and it led to a little bit of a scuffle between both players. So you could see that the team was out of sync. Some of the runs that the forward players did weren't matched by the midfielders. Some of it just basically, the whole team was out of sync. I don't want to dwell on it too much, but it was disappointing from the stands to be able to watch a team that is hosting, and you expect them to do well in front of their fans. And there were also scenes that reminded us of the 7-1 defeat that Brazil suffered, the humiliation that they suffered as the host team.
And finally, what are the people saying in Cote d'Ivoire after witnessing that performance? I mean, against Equatorial Guinea.
In the stadium at 2-0, people were really starting to boo. You saw people throwing some bottles of water to try to throw them on the pitch, which is actions and things that we don't want to see. And at 2-0, 3-0, basically half of the stadium emptied out. People just started to walk out. And even before the 4-0 goal, there was a lady behind me who said, "Okay, they should just concede a 4th goal so we can just round it up to an even number." In the press today, people are talking about Jean-Louis Gasset should quit, should leave the team, especially in the wake of the fact that he's one of the top 10 most paid coaches that are currently at this AFCON. I believe he's the number 3. So people are disappointed that you pay so much for an experienced coach that handled Saint-Etienne, who was the assistant manager also at PSG, that he's not been able to to get the best out of this crop of players, this crop of talented players. And it didn't seem like he knew what he was doing yesterday, which is unfortunate. So people are calling for him to resign, but Ivorians are also resilient. They have a saying which says something to the effect of "Don't say die." So they're hoping that they'll be able to qualify still and make it to the next group, next stage. Sorry, make it out of the group, and we're crossing our fingers because I can't have both teams that I support come out of get stuck in the group
But
stages.
do you think that would be the way forward for the Ivorian national team, especially looking at the squad they've got this moment? Because I mean, you look at the squad and they say that it's never closer to what we've seen the past Ivorian teams do have.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the best teams that Ivory Coast has had, the golden generation with the Tourés and Drogbas, etc. This squad isn't as talented, but the squad has also been resilient and been able to grind out results. And we thought that being at home, they would get some kind of energy and perform better than they were able to. Watching the Nigeria game, it seemed like they were a bit clueless as to how to find the back of the net. And the same thing happened yesterday against Equatorial Guinea. But hopefully they'll still be able to make it out of the group and maybe find some kind of second win to be able to make a run deep into the competition. But I'm not very, I'm keeping my hopes a bit down because my heart has already been broken twice last night. So I'm trying to preserve it.
Well, Jon, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for your time, and do take care of yourself. We'll catch you some other time, Jon. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.